And we're here live. It's a new one today, Epic Spotlight Live. I'm here with Dishenda Mock. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing well, doing well. Why don't you let everybody know who you are?
So, my name is Dishenda Mock. I am a licensed designated real estate managing broker of Mock Realty. I've been licensed for over 20 years now.
Mm,
And I guess I'm just here to help the people.
that's awesome. I wrote this and I want to see what you think about it. This is what I wrote. I said, today we're talking about something most people avoid, postpone, or assume will somehow just work out itself. But it never does because one day, whether we plan for it or not, every homeowner leaves their home behind. Not the memories, not the laughter in the hallways, not the fingerprints of life pressed into the walls, just the property, the title, the paperwork, the legal reality. And the question that quietly waits behind it all, who gets your home when you're gone? See, we spend decades building equity, making payments, fixing roofs, upgrading kitchens, creating a place that holds our story, but many never take the final step, making sure that the story transfers clearly, smoothly, and exactly how we intend. Because without a plan, what you built with love can be handed off with confusion. What you meant as a blessing can become a burden. And what should be simple can become complicated overnight. So today, we're going to bring some clarity to something deeply personal yet incredibly practical. And we're talking about ownership, legacy, and the quiet power of planning ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. That's exactly why we're here. It's a lot of emotional part, right? With buying your first home, right? It's a lot of emotions. We want to build a family, we're starting anew, and then we never think about the end part. We
Mm,
only think about the beginning. And I do agree with that complete statement. It's like our parents and our grandparents have put all their hard earned money, they 30 years, right? 30 years mortgage, right? That's a lifetime
sure.
to pay that off. And the average person doesn't buy their property until they're in their 30s, right? So you're like 60, some people, if you don't plan right, to pay that property off and you're up in age. And then when you do leave here, they think, oh, I got life insurance, so it'll take care of the house. But it really doesn't, not completely anyway.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a situation. We like you said, we focus so much on the beginning. It's all about getting the house, and we put all our attention into buying the house and securing it. But we really we struggle with the kind of reverse engineer of like, okay, I'm already going to get this, but
Yeah.
it's almost like you know, and there's several reasons, several factors, but some of us are still first or second or maybe even third generation homeowners. So it's
Yeah.
still relatively new within our families, just diametrics. And so it's one of those situations where it's like finally we've obtained this goal, but we don't, what are we going to do with it? What's the end goal and how do we pass it along the right way? And I do feel that this is such a great conversation. And just to start, because I asked people, I think it was Wednesday, I said, hey, we're going to have a conversation on Friday about TODI. And if you don't even know what that is, then you need to tune in.
Yes. Good. Good.
So
I'm
so what is
glad.
TODI?
Okay. So it stands for Transfer on Death Instrument. So here in Illinois, they have that option. And I just recently found out they also have it in Indiana. So they
Nice.
may have it in other states. And of course, it's not heavily advertised. So it's just one page document back and front
Wow.
that transfer your property to your loved one that you choose upon death without going through probate.
And as we know, probate, can be expensive.
It can be expensive. So a lot of people, so I didn't know about this originally, right? I've, like I said, I've been selling real estate for a long time. I never been through one of a close relative that has passed away. And when it happened and that responsibility fell in my lap, okay, you have to take care of all of my loved ones, bills and different things that they left behind. But I didn't know because no one told me. No one kind of talks about it, right? When
Sure.
that person passed away, I had to figure out their bank accounts became, even though you may have had a power of attorney before they passed away, but their bank accounts are frozen. The house just sits there, right? I can't sell it. I can't refinance it. It's not in my name. Um, the courts, the state automatically puts this property into probate.
Mm.
Automatically, right? So if I had to go and find a probate attorney, and we love our attorneys, that's our first, line of defense.
Sure.
You go find your attorney, a probate attorney. They tell you what to do. They give you step by step on how to get the bank accounts. You become the executor of the estate, right? You make all the decisions concerning everything, the bank accounts, the real estate, so forth and so on, right? However, they're not real estate attorneys. So some probate attorneys does not specialize in real estate. And they could charge you thousands of dollars. And what they don't tell you is probate lasts 2 years here in Illinois.
Wow.
So I was already grieving. I'm thinking, okay, I took care of all the credit card bills. I took care of, all the medical bills that was left over. Now I got this real estate. What do I do? My probate attorney told me either don't pay the mortgage, let it go into foreclosure, or just continue paying it, but it's still not in my name.
Mm.
I had to do it myself. I had to do all my own research. I had
Hard work, everything.
Yeah, I did it all. I end up eventually after 2 years later getting the property in my name to sell it, because at that point my family made a decision to sell it. But my probate attorney had no idea what to do with this property.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's scary for sure. I was curious, naming a beneficiary, how do you keep full control? Like, just because you name a beneficiary, do they have any, input on the house moving forward, or how does that work?
Such a good question. Okay, so let me tell you how that works. So because I went through that with one loved one, now I have my mother. She's aging, right? She has her property. So I love live examples. I always tell my story. So my mother's aging, and I told her, hey, we need to do a transfer of death instrument. And that was her concern. She was like, I don't want to lose power to my house. And I was like, you're not going to lose power. We're not going to kick you out of your own house, right? You paid for
Right.
this house. So she was able to name her beneficiaries, right? You could do 1, you could do 10, you could do however many beneficiaries you choose to do. And it's private. It's not publicized. Nobody knows who your beneficiary is, right? And so she didn't have to tell her grandkids or her kids or whoever she decided to leave her stuff to at that time. Okay, so that's first and foremost. And even if my name was on there and I tried to do something, I couldn't, because legally it's not in my name. It only becomes in my name after a person passed away, right? So that's why it's important too to have those important documents in one place where your loved ones can find.
Mm-hmm.
It will have a copy of the transfer of death instrument. It will also have another document that your family has to take to the recorder of deeds with the death certificate to say, I'm the beneficiary, with the property transferred to your name.
So the deed or the transfer form is recorded
Yes.
onto the title, so everyone knows, and that's the way you can kind of avoid probate, and obviously in the state of Illinois and Indiana. So how does it work upon death? Talk about, how does the ownership change hands after death?
So it's real simple. Again, 1-page document back and front, right? So for the services that I offer, and you could do it on your own. You don't have to use my services, because I think it's important for, you could also use an attorney, right? However, it's one-page document that your loved one fill out with their name, the person, the owner's name, right? If you're the single owner, that's important too. And let me say that you must, if you're the single owner of the property, right? So your name and the owner's name, and just give and have it notarized, because that's important. It has to be notarized. And then just bring the death certificate. And they already have your information because it's already been filed, right?
Mhm.
You're just bringing this document in to claim the property, and then your name is added, like quick claim deeded to you, in a sense.
Nice.
Hmm.
So death certificate, obviously you would have to provide a death certificate. Are you going to the real estate attorney, or are you going to, you're just
No,
going to like the county?
yep, you go to the Cook County Recorder of Deeds if you're in Cook County, or if you're in Kane County, whatever county
Oh
you're
my God.
in, then you go to that county directly. You don't have to go to an attorney.
Why does this sound so simple?
Because it is, it's just that simple. And that's it, right? We make it so complex, and it's not expensive. It's only to file the document, it's only $59 in Cook County. And you only need a notary, right, to complete it. In Kankakee County, it is $99 to file it, right? Now, after your loved one passes away and they take this one single document down and it's notarized with the death certificate, I'm sure there's a fee. Unfortunately, I don't know what that fee is,
Sure.
but I'm sure it's not thousands of dollars. I can almost guarantee that.
Exactly.
Right? The only thing is, I would suggest, if you decide to do this on your own, if you decide to do it on your own, make sure that the TODI is filled out correctly. So I think that's kind of what people be a little hesitant of doing this document, because you have to put down the lot, the location. It'd be like everything that's on your survey, right? Lot 58 northeast of the right. It
Okay.
has to be filled out correctly. So
The lot description.
the lot description. That's the only complex thing that's on there. That's it.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like the world sells us complexity so they can charge us more money for it. And
Absolutely.
and when some things are a little convoluted, but for the most part, a lot of stuff is just black and white. If you know, you just save yourself thousands of dollars. And that's why I thought this was such an important conversation to have with you today, because how many people are not aware of this, especially in the state of Illinois, state of Indiana. And
Yeah.
it's obviously going to be state by state, but these are definitely an opportunity to say, hey, we need to start planning, right? The whole concept is we need to start planning and being prepared for that day, because whether it's voluntarily or involuntarily, it's going to happen where we're going to be leaving. And we need to make sure that we're planning and taking care of our loved ones. I mean, that's the whole point of putting the love into the house. And now it's like, we don't want to have the fumble when we're passing it to our next generation.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And then it cuts down disputes. Can we be honest?
Man.
It cuts down family disputes. As a realtor, I have seen it all, especially, trying to sell property that is in probate. The poor executive, I feel so bad for the executors, right? Because they have to get it from everybody, right? The property is not selling, and we should get more for this.
Sure.
And then they're like, no, this is what the realtor says, this is how much it's worth. No, because it's an emotional attachment. And then you have to go through that after you do sell the property. Now it has to be divided amongst all the loved ones. It's just, but if the family, if the mother, the father, whomever that owns the property say, this is my property that I work hard for, this is who I want to have it, I want them to have it, and let them make a decision on what they want to do with it at that point. That's it.
That's it. I mean, you could be mad, but at
You
least
gonna be mad. You ain't gonna make everybody. Somebody gonna be mad. It's just it ain't it ain't no
Well, what
avoiding it.
about me? Where's my
Right.
piece?
I love you. Yeah, I love you, but grandma didn't leave that to you. Okay, you get this couch. You know.
I've seen the transfer of death instrument be used on bank statements. I've seen it on bank accounts.
Hmm.
So I think you can do that on bank accounts, and now you're saying you could do it on properties?
So you may be touching into an area that I'm not aware of on
Mhm.
accounts. That is something I definitely will look into because now there's a win-win. Because again, probate, when you go into probate, it names the executor of the estate, and then it gives you all depends on how much money that's in the bank account. You can get an affidavit completed so that you can give to the bank so they can give you access to the account, right?
Okay.
However, if you don't have to go through probate and you have a TODI on the bank account, now you're winning. So that's something I will research. So if you've seen that, please, please, we're not going to be gatekeepers here. We're here to share all the information.
Yeah, it
All the
says you can name a beneficiary for a bank account, so the money transfers automatically when you die. But when the banks officially typically call it payable on death instead of TOD, so it's like POD. So
POD. I love that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
POD and TOD, same kind of reference where you do have that ability to transfer that account. So they already know, and that saves, obviously, there's me and my father, similar to your mom, we have a joint account because, there's that moment in everyone's life where you become the parent. Right. You know what I mean? And everyone goes through it. And now we'll go through it at different times in our life. It might be,
Mhm. Mhm.
unfortunately, it was in my 30s for my dad, but for others, it might be 50 or 60. But you become the parent and they become the child. And
Yes.
and you have to take on that responsibility. And so that's one of the things where it's like, okay, I want to make sure I have access to the account. And so I can be able to maneuver in case something were to happen. And so I do understand this a little bit to some degree. I just didn't know about the property as much as that you are explaining today, and so that's super exciting. But we all go through it, and that's why it's so important to know.
I'm so glad you mentioned that about the bank accounts because, again, I can only tell you my experience, right?
Hmm.
So, with the bank account, my father, before he passed, I was on his bank account, one of his bank accounts. And I ain't going to drop no names of the bank. So, I'm going to, keep that to myself. But I was on his bank account because I was his power of attorney when he was here, right? And I would take care of all his finances. And when he passed, they froze the account. But I'm
Mm.
like, I'm on the account. Here's my ID. Here's all my information. This is before I even went through probate because, I want to take care of some expenses, for the funeral, so forth and so on. And they still froze the account and they put a fraud alert on the account for me.
Wow.
It took 6 months for me to get into this account that I was already a part of, that I've been writing checks from. I've been, doing everything. And now you're saying that I'm the problem? That I'm stealing money? Are you serious? So when we finally got this straightened out, 6 months later, they say, how can we retain your business? You cannot. You cannot. You can run me my check. I have never banked with them. And every time I hear somebody say they bank there, I get mad all over again. I have
What
it's
was the
traumatic.
reason they gave you though? What was the reason they gave?
They said, now again, I'm on the account with him. So I'm part
Correct.
owner of the account. They said when he passed away, then even though I was on the account and even though they said the power of attorney was no longer valid, power of attorney financial was no longer valid, right? So I'm like, but I'm on the account. So I don't even need a power of attorney at this point.
Correct.
I'm on the account. So then they said, well, we got to look into it now with our fraud department. What?
Oh man.
Here's the bank account. Here's his name. Here's my name. What's the problem?
Correct.
Right? I talked to many branch managers. I talked to the fraud department. I talked to everybody and their mom. I think it was because of the amount that was in the account. I think if
Sure.
it was $10 in there, I wouldn't have had a problem. Right? If it was
Correct.
$10, get your $10, ma'am, and go. But
Right.
because the amount, it was flagged, and yeah. It was an
Now,
issue.
did you guys have two different last names?
Nope, same last name.
Mm,
Mock, same last name. And
that's
so,
wild.
and then, I'm in probate, I'm showing I'm an executive estate. I take that document down. My probate attorney say, oh, you take this to the bank, no problem. Nope, still a problem.
Wow.
Still, yeah. So yeah,
So you
that's
don't
just,
bank there no more.
and I tell my children, no, don't bank there. And it's like, why? They got a good deal. No, ma'am. So yeah. Yeah, but TODI is a wonderful, wonderful way to go. It like you said, it's simple, it's
The
easy, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Oh, are we frozen? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Mhm.
Got you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, sometimes, doing the live show, I have noticed, internet glitches. It might be, sometimes when people are logging in, we have an audience. So it's just one of those things that occurs, but you're fine. Just keep going and we'll keep it moving. We do have some questions already, which is super nice. And I really appreciate the audience. If you have questions, make sure you put them in the chat. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, so definitely feel free to put in a chat. So let's answer some of these questions for people, and then we could take it from there.
Okay.
So Richard writes, if someone has both a will and a TODI, which one takes priority?
The TODI, because it's recorded with the recorded deeds. And what's nice about it, you could change the TODI anytime you want to. So if your loved one that you have on your TODI has upset you for whatever reason, you're like, let me take her off, add him in. You could do it whenever you wanna.
Wow.
No big deal. You just fill out a new TODI, which takes precedence over the old one as well as the will.
So just fill out a new form. I'm assuming the form has to be notarized.
Yes.
And then just go back to the county and say, hey, I got a new one. Here you go. Pay the fee, filing fee, and keep it moving.
Yep. Keep it moving.
Wow. Super cool. Thanks, Rich, for that. Can a TODI be changed later if circumstances change? I think you just answered that. Yes.
Definitely, circumstances change. You can change it. It goes by the date. And I think that goes by the will too. Because let's say, like, we want to do both. So let's say if I had my will dated in March and my TODI dated in June. So what the June definitely, you know what I mean? The TODI always takes precedence. But I say if you have, now that I'm thinking this through, I'm talking this through. If you have a will, definitely change it to match your TODI. That's important.
Okay.
Just cover yourself.
So I set up a will maybe in my 30s. I just hear about this TODI thing today. I'm 55, and I'm like, okay, things have changed. I got to make sure I update my will so everything aligns, so there's no
I would.
discrepancy.
Yeah, and let's not leave any room for confusion, right?
Sure.
It just makes sense. Do the TODI, update your will, and you're winning. If you do one of the other, I believe that the TODI will take precedence. Again, I'm not an attorney. Let me go on record.
Understood.
I'm not an attorney.
But it is recorded, so I mean, you would assume. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you would assume, hey, since it's recorded, it's on title, so then that title should reflect the accurate information.
Yes.
All right. Let's see right here. Danny writes, what happens if the beneficiary passes away before the homeowner passes?
Yeah, same thing. You could update it. So now my beneficiary has passed away. I'm still alive. I need to appoint a new beneficiary.
There you go.
Get the same TODI, update it, file it with the county.
And I'm just curious, and this is just something that kind of popped up when I'm thinking about it. But, obviously a big push I've seen, at least on social media fronts, coming from real estate attorneys are trusts, right? And they use trust as the, buffer of all things of probate, right? I mean, I think overall with, especially in Illinois, you said 2 years of going through that minutia. it's one of the things is we're trying to avoid that at all costs. And so
Yes.
obviously real estate attorneys will say, hey, make sure you have your paperwork in order and make sure you get a trust. That's another way you can avoid probate. What are
Yep.
your thoughts? Just your opinions. I mean, have you ever thought like just create a trust or,
Yes, I
it's
would say do the trust. If I had a choice between trust and TODI, I would do the trust because trust covers everything. It covers your bank accounts, it covers your real estate, it covers, a living trust, irrevocable trust. They have different types of trust that fits your financial status, right? And especially if you own real estate, if you don't own real estate. Trust is top tier. Trust costs money. Trust costs 2,000, 3,000. All depends on
sure,
what you have, right? If
sure.
you don't have the finances right now to put a trust in place, then get the TODI. It's
Love it.
inexpensive. You need something in place until you have the finances to get the trust,
Love
right?
that answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
That's
sense.
I say get the trust. Trust beats everything.
Right. I mean, obviously, trust can impact, all your final wishes, all your assets that you have accumulated, and it kind of all
All encompassing.
encumbering of like
Yeah.
your like the bigger umbrella.
The
Yes,
bigger
encompassing. Yes,
umbrella.
like the big umbrella.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then I think what happens when you go to a attorney for trust and they say, "Okay, I'll do this for you. It's $3,500." It turns people away, right? Because maybe they don't have those finances immediately to pay that $3,500. I'm just throwing a
sure,
number out there, right?
sure.
So you be like, "Well, I'll wait until I get my bonus at work to get it," right?
Hmm.
That's next year. And like tomorrow's not promised, right? So until next year comes, or until, because we're waiting on this lump sum of money, until that day comes, do this inexpensive thing that you have something. Something is better than nothing, because no man knows the day or the hour, right? So it's just better to have something in place.
We just saw just this past week. It was like James Vanderbeek, the guy from Dawson's Creek, 53 years old, and then
Mm,
McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy.
really?
Man, he had ALS. Within a year, passed away, and I think he was like 53. And, so obviously, thoughts and prayers go to the Jesse Jackson family. But he
Mhm.
was 84. So you're just seeing the disparity of age. Like tomorrow is not promised,
Right.
and so you have to have your orders and affairs, really addressed. And I
Yes.
love how you positioned where the toady can kind of fit. Hey, at least you have something.
Something. Yes, it's a happy medium, right?
Hmm.
Because and I'm glad we touched on wills, because even if you have a will, guess where you're going? To probate
Oh,
with your will, because people can contest your will.
right,
And they contest it where? In probate court.
right. Were they in sound mind when they wrote this? Who was the witness? That's not true. You just made that up. That's not their real signature. All the above.
All the above. But guess what? When you do a TODI, you have your notary and it has two witnesses have to sign your TODI. So I
Yeah,
forgot to tell you guys that
it,
earlier.
it was a situation where, I had a weird situation in my family where my uncle and so there was three kids, and somehow, some way, my aunt was able to, get a quick claim deed done on the property, and so the kids didn't get to split it evenly, and it would have a toady or some type of trust. But once you start getting in, mixing documents and things are moving a little bit quicker, and they got taken advantage of at the end of the day. And so you do have to be mindful of these things of yeah. So it's just so important, because
It's important. And it's knowledge is power, right?
100%.
Also, so if I hate to use my sister as an I hate to use it, but I'm gonna use it anyway. So if me and my sister, all right, I have knowledge in real estate, she doesn't. So if someone passes away, I may know how to get that quick claim deed. She may not. And if I'm
Right.
I'm unscrupulous, right? I may kind of cut her out a little bit and just go on to take it for myself and decide
Facts.
what to do, right? Because she may not have that knowledge. But if my parents put it in writing, like, no, they both need to, this needs to transfer to both of their names. Now I have to consult her.
Correct.
Right. And so that's just the best way to do it at this point. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's that's what happened to my family. And it creates a rift.
It does.
It creates a rift, because now, you're going to side with your side and looking at the other side like, man, who got over on who? And, things, so not even the TODI per se, and not even the trust, just having the conversations, understanding that, it's a blessing to be here, but we're not going to be here forever.
We're not
Let's
going to be
plan on that day.
Absolutely. I think when I was younger, I was in my 20s at the time, and I had my first baby. I was recently married, and I was taking a humanities class. So I got married young. And I was taking this humanities class, and my teacher said, you need to have a will. And I was like, what do I need a will for? I don't need a will, right?
Right.
I just got married yesterday, right? And we live in this little apartment. But then she was like, but you just said your mother, a new mother. You need a will. Who's going to take care of your children?
Right.
Never thought about that. And that was like a deeper conversation. And so in my 20s, I wrote that will. Well, I created this will and everything. And, they're adults now, but I'm still glad that I did it because, again, we realized that death doesn't have a number. And you literally just gave us an example of that, right?
Man.
Would
you want to know?
No, I don't think I want to. I think I'm good. No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
They had those movies. I think Justin Timberlake comes to mind. He had a movie where time was literally on your watch, and you knew when your life expectation was. And I was always asked people curious when we talk about the subject, would you want to know?
Nah, because we always try to do something to change it. All right, what's that other movie? What's that when you cheat death? I can't think of it right now.
Final Destination.
Final Destination. Yes, we always do something to try to change it. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true. So we don't want to know.
Trust me, I don't need to know at all.
Hey, we're halfway through this. What I like to do is get your contact information. So for people that have questions about this, or need your services as a realtor, can you give your contact information?
Absolutely. So 2 things. Of course, I'm a realtor. As you know, I work for Mock Realty. I don't mind giving out my phone number, so you can call or text me directly anytime at 312-536-3593. Again, that number is 312-536-3593. But I'm also having a TODI event February 27th from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. So pretty much you just come to 5936 West Chicago Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, between 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I'll be there signing TODIs. So the witnesses are there. I have witnesses on site. If you bring your property, of course, address, or if you have will make it a little easier for me if you have a tax bill, because it has all your information of the property information on there. If you bring your tax bill, then I can complete your TODI on your behalf, and I will also file it for you with the recorder of deeds. And I just will send you a copy and tell you what to do upon your passing. I'll send that information to you as well. Feel free to email me.
What's the address?
5936 West Chicago Avenue.
Okay.
Of course, in Chicago, Illinois. And that's February 27th.
Okay.
From 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I'll be there. And so I do charge a fee of $259, and that's including your processing fee with the state.
Okay. Let me see if
and a notary will also be on site.
Let's see if this works. Did I get that? I want to make sure I got this right.
Okay. Yep. I see it.
5936 West Chicago Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, February 27th. Yeah, 27th. Okay, so it's 27th at 5 to 7:30. So got it. I will make sure I make a correction on that.
Yeah. And if you
Nice.
have any questions, feel free to ask at that time. I think one of the biggest questions, again, we've seen it all, that I get is, what if it's me and my wife? I've been through it all, right? As a realtor, me and my wife own the property. She has kids, I have kids, right? And so, can I do a TODI? Yeah, but that's something you guys need to talk about and agree upon, right? So if there's more than one person that's on the deed, it's better for you guys to do it at the same time and put your loved ones on there together.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are those blended families that, hey,
Yeah.
I'm coming, I got my 3 kids, you're coming in, you got your 2 kids, and now we're trying to make this blended family. And those are tough discussions of like, okay, who gets what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a real conversation, right? That needs to be had, and we don't like. Can we be honest? We're non-confrontational. We don't want to have those conversations, but it's so necessary. It's so necessary. You rather have it than let the courts have it and drag both of your children into all types of despair for 2.5 years and make them fight for 2.5 years when you could just fight for 2 hours.
Exactly. No, this is true. Hey, also too, this episode today is sponsored by Epic Mortgage. Whether you're buying, investing, or refinancing, contact Epic 708-905-5300, 708-905-5300. It's your dreams, your goals. Let's plan together. And I wanted to also say, after the show is over, if you can stick around and check out the latest podcast, we have a podcast with Dishenda Mock. She's a psychology, and a psychiatrist, excuse me. She's a psychiatrist. And we had a great conversation just about, behavioral and ancestral pain that we kind of go through and how do we overcome it? What are some coping mechanisms? So if you ever, have had, this burden that's kind of lingering, maybe because of a family, family dynamic that you might have, obviously, like we talked about, families do bicker, and get into fights, and life is short and maybe they shouldn't, definitely that's a show and a podcast that you should check out. So check out Dishenda Mock. That's the most recent Epic Spotlight podcast. All right. And then let's see, we got a couple more questions here, which is great. Appreciate everyone. If you have questions, make sure you let us know. I think this is one right here. Does a TODI protect the home from creditors?
No. Unfortunately, this is like a death thing. So even if you have creditors, people could still put like liens on the property. It doesn't protect you at all.
That's a great question, because a lot of people may think, hey, but it's only doing is just saying, hey, I'm the new owner. It's not really protecting me from anything else.
No, they could still
Now,
put liens.
do you know how it works with creditors? I mean, so, okay, I pass away, I have debts. Is it just automatically thinking they'll come after me if it's credit card debts or, any type of loans per se? Is that how it works?
So that's a good question. How can I answer this? So if I'm the new owner and somebody has a lien already, let's say my dad passed and he had a property and there's a lien on the property, the lien goes with the home. So if I'm the new owner, I still have to deal with that lien, and I can't sell it with that lien on it. That lien still has to be paid for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
I got another question here. Is a lawyer required to set up a TODI in Illinois?
No. Nope. You could do it all by yourself.
All by yourself, or we can do it with you?
You can do it with me.
Because you know what you're doing.
Yes. So no, a lawyer is not required. It's a document that you just fill out in front of a notary, and I'm a licensed notary. 2 witnesses. And the only thing that's really that you must do and that you cannot make a mistake on is the property location. So that means the PIN number, the lot number on the document, and that's it. You do not need an attorney.
Awesome. Another question here. Can you name more than one beneficiary on a TODI? Yeah, we answered that, right? The answer is yes.
Yes. You could definitely. I think on the document there's like space up to 8 people. Don't quote me on that, but you could even add an additional page if you have more beneficiaries. So yes, more than one.
So take me into that kind of scenario. Let's say me and my brother. Let's just keep it as simple with 2. So
Mhm.
we would go on to title then. We're the 2 owners, or let's say it's 8 people. So all 8 people have ownership of this property.
Yes, equally.
My
Yep. So
goodness.
if I put me, I have 3 children, so I'll put all 3 of my children on there, right? And after I leave, it's all of their properties. Now, some kids, they be like, I don't want mama's house. I don't care
Correct.
what y'all do with it, right? Then they could sign off, they could quit claim deed it to the other 2, their invested interest, right? To the other 2. They could do whatever they want. They could say, take my name off the property. They could take their name off the property.
Good stuff. So let me make sure I wrote down some notes here based on what we're saying. So the key benefits obviously are the fact that direct property transfer to your chosen beneficiary. You don't have to
Yes.
worry about probate. So that's and obviously avoiding probate. Can you just explain what probate is, just for those out there that are unaware of what probate actually is?
So I'm glad you asked this question, because I'm trying to figure out. I want to give you the actual definition of probate.
There's always the book, and then what really goes
It's
on.
the book. Exactly. So probate in Illinois, I'm going to talk about Illinois, is a special division of the circuit court that oversees the legal process of settling a deceased person's assets or estate, validating wills, paying debts, and distributing assets to beneficiary, right? So that's the AI, the Google
The book.
definition, the book, right?
Mhm.
And that's pretty much exactly what happens. So probate, if you have assets, like I told you earlier, like I couldn't get inside my father's account because when your social security number says you're deceased, everything freezes concerning that's attached to your social security number. Creditors start calling. They're trying to figure out who is the executor of the estate because they know the law better than anyone, because they're trying to collect on this deceased person's debts, right? So and I believe it is public knowledge when somebody passes away, right? So they can find out who this person is. And sometimes people don't even go through probate. True story. Have a client. She's still living in her mother's house. Her mom passed, and I guess there wasn't a lot of money or whatever in the bank account, so they didn't even they couldn't afford a probate attorney, so it never went in probate. So they're still staying in the house. They're still under the mother's name, still paying the mortgage under the mother's name. They can't do anything with the property. I mean, I'm sure it has so much equity in it that they can't get out even if they wanted to, because it's not in their name. And now the TODI is not going to work because it's too late now. Either you gotta go through probate, but they
Now,
never hired an attorney.
I got something for you now.
Okay, tell me.
Affidavit of heirship.
But isn't that under a certain amount?
No.
Oh, good.
If I could get the heirs, if all heirs agree with an affidavit of heirship, I could get them a cash out refinance.
Look at you. I refer my client.
And really, this is the prime example of why we do what we do.
Yes.
Is we're talking, and then you say, hey, this scenario, and it's like, oh wait, I got a solution. it's something that we've been doing. It's just been more title companies have been flexible because there's opportunities there, to your point, and no one wants to go to probate. Probate is almost like the no zone. No one wants to go there. Even you have attorneys telling you, don't go here because I'm going to have to slap you. I'm going to charge you, 5, 10, whatever the number is. And so, everyone's trying to avoid probate. We are starting to see title companies, some title companies, I can't say all, are flexible in nature with an affidavit of heirship. So if all the heirs are on board, we can definitely make that happen. Get one or two qualified and proceed with the deal.
Yeah, I love that. Thank
Yeah, I
you.
need the original death certificate, and then obviously we'd have to have that notarized and signed, and then we can update title and avoid probate altogether. There
Yeah.
is a way, because the fear, right? There is a fear, like, oh, okay, well, why don't we just continue to do what we do? If the mortgage company catches wind and understands that that person has passed away, they can accelerate and look to foreclose on the property, and they could
Yes.
take that house away from you and
Yeah.
not collect any more mortgage payments because they don't know you. You haven't been vetted.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and so that's the danger play when you try to stay quiet. I'm not going to tell them that my mom or dad passed away, and I just
Mm-hmm.
want to continue. Hey, they can take that property away,
Yeah.
so you got to be careful.
You got to be careful. And don't some mortgage companies allow you to assume the mortgage?
Not
Do they allow
anymore.
that? Not see,
No.
because the
Yeah,
law.
assumability is, yeah. It was back in the day, but with all the whole credit, and just evaluations from a credit income standpoint, that there is no assumability rights. So that was the topic during the pandemic, right? Where all these people have these pandemic rates. I think it's 60% of people have interest rates under 4%, right? And so it's like, but they want to move, they want to sell, and it's like, how do you do it? And that's where they came up with the whole subject to, where people are like, well, I'll continue to pay this, but the mortgage is still underneath that person's existing name. So it's hard to maneuver. But if you have a property that you are paying on, and your mom or dad or your auntie who left it to you is still on there, with an affidavit of heirship, but you have to have all the heirs on board with that.
Mhm.
That is a route we can go and move forward and make it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, so no, definitely have them give me a call.
Okay.
We got a
Do
we got a
that.
question here. Can a trust and a TODI work together?
Uh, yes and no. I would say if it's aligned, right? If the TODI is saying the exact same thing that the trust is, yes, it could work together. But it's not necessary to get a TODI if you have a trust. It's not necessary.
So if I had a TODI first, I got a TODI. I can't, affordability, feasibility is not really. I mean, I can't afford 1,500, 2,000 for a
Mhm,
trust. I'm just
mhm,
gonna, this is pretty nominal. It sounds like a couple
mhm,
$100 later, I got this recorded. But then, hey, I got that bonus check, or I finally am ready to go. Now
mhm.
I can do the full boat trust.
Yeah. Now we're winning. Yes. So you could get a trust later. Now, let's say this. I'm glad you said that. So let's say you have your TODI and you have one person as your beneficiary, and then you decide to do the trust, right? And
Mhm.
you change your mind. You don't want that other beneficiary that you had the TODI. You can go to the recorder deeds and cancel your TODI because now your trust is taking care of everything and is it has all the people that you want on there.
Mm.
And
Say
you
it
can
one
tell
more
your
time, because
attorney.
that's yeah.
Hmm,
Say it one more time, because that was a little confusing.
okay. Let's say I have a trust in place,
Okay,
right? And I mean, rewind. Let's say I have a TODI in place, right?
got it.
Because I got that first because I didn't have the money to set up my trust. So
Mhm.
now I have the money to set up my trust. So if I change my mind on my beneficiary, if it's not the same person that I want to put on my trust, right? I would cancel out my TODI. And you could tell your attorney when you're setting up your trust, hey, I have my TODI in place. It has my little sister on it, but my little sister has passed away. So your attorney will adjust your TODI for you, if that makes sense,
Got it.
and put your trust in place.
Got it. Makes sense. And if the TODI has been established and recorded, and then now you're putting on the trust per se, does the TODI get removed off of title, or is it still reflected on there, even though the trust is like the chassis?
The trust is the chassis.
Okay.
So I would just tell my attorney when I'm setting up the trust, hey, I have a TODI in place, and they will take care of it for you.
Got it.
You can tell them to remove it for you. They will
Remove
take
the
care.
recording.
Yes.
Got it.
Just
Okay.
inform your attorney when you're setting up the trust.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. And then I got so we're back to the benefits once again. We talked about how we can directly just transfer properties to a beneficiary. That's great. We're avoiding probate court, which is phenomenal. It does bring privacy and simplicity, right? I mean, because it's not all out there in public records, but it's already set up. It provides flexibility because you can change this, periodically, which it sounds phenomenal. And then the cost, obviously, this is nominal cost comparatively speaking when we're talking about trusts and going through probate. So this is definitely an opportunity that we all should start doing some pre-planning for. I was going to ask you, who should consider doing TODIs? Like, is there any particular, through your walks, like is the single guy should be doing a TODI? Is the married couple, who should be considering this right now?
Everyone who owns real estate should do it. If you own real estate, you need to do this. If you don't have a trust, if you have a trust in place, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't need it, right? But if you don't have anything and you just have a will because you think your will is going to cover you, which it does to a certain degree, but it doesn't stop you from going. It doesn't have the benefit of skipping probate. That's first. Second, I had someone call me and said, "Hey, Dishenda, I have life insurance, and my life insurance is going to pay off my house, so I'm good. I don't need a TODI." You're not good. Yes, that's true. Your life insurance may pay off your house and you have your beneficiary around it, but it does not transfer the property to your loved one. It doesn't.
True. Right.
But
so you paid it off. You paid off a mortgage, but
yeah.
But you ain't on title.
You're not on title.
Correct.
And they argued me down. And I was like, okay, well, you can chance it if you want to.
Right. Do you?
I'm here to tell you, it pays off the house. That's your beneficiary. That person gets your money and it pays off the house, but it does not transfer. You're still going to probate.
I had some stats that I looked up for this, and that's why I thought this was a great topic. It said roughly 60 to 70% of Americans have no will or estate plan. It's a very morbid conversation to some degree, and we tend to want to steer clear of any negativity or a thought process of one day, you and I will not be here, and so we don't want to talk about it, and that's just ultimately that's wrong. We need to have these conversations. We need to talk about it. We need to set the plan, because if we do have children, I have 2, you have 3.
Mm-hmm.
We do need a plan for them and make it easier, because I don't know if it sounds like your mom is, or you're helping your mom plan for you, but it is for important to pay it forward.
Yes. And like you said, laws change, things change, right? And things that our parents may have in place, now we have a easier tool, right? That maybe what they thought, oh, I just write it down on a napkin or a notebook, this is my will. Maybe you need something a little bit more concrete.
And I like how you said that, it's kind of like, that might have been a little old school.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the old school and probably the complexities of a will, do I trust it? Do I believe it? Now that has been argued basically in court, and that's probate. And so now we said, hey, here's this new mechanism where you don't have to argue. It's already pre-recorded for you and it's ready to go.
That's right. So already taken care of.
And to your point, you said probate can take 6 to 2 years plus, depending on complexity.
Yes.
How many people are going to, fight and say, no, that's not right. This is, this is not how it was supposed to be, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And we all know our loved ones. We love them, but we know
Well, they say you don't really know people 100% until you either marry them, you work with them, or you got to live with them. You know,
them.
now you
Yeah,
know 'em.
you really know. Yes,
Yeah.
that's very true.
They said probate costs often range 3 to 8% of the estate value, and so
Yeah. And that
that's
cost,
steep.
yeah. Yeah.
So an estate
That's
estate,
it's an
man,
unexpected expense, right? We don't know
correct,
when people are leaving. So that's like one of those, like, what? I got to come up with what? It's unexpected. And
correct,
so, and 9 times out of 10, we're not prepared for that.
correct. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing, kind of talking about, because I've always been into generations, and so it's kind of interesting. You have the baby boomers, right? The 1946 to 1964 made it real
Mhm.
kind of simple to remember them, and everything has kind of evolved around the baby boomers.
Yeah.
From the 1950s, all the way through, just all the things that we're used to, Pampers and diapers and Toys R Us and all these things that we have in this world were kind of all because of them. It was all these veterans coming home from World War II and
Mhm.
having all these babies, and that was the whole promotion. And because of all these babies, they were the largest population of Americans for quite a period of time. And so, everything was catered around them. Well, now they're getting older. I remember, well, what was it, maybe 10 years ago, they were all turning 65. And so you had
Yes.
like 10,000 people turning 65 every day. And so, to the point of that, they say over $80 trillion are expected to be transferred between generations by 2045. And it's the
Mhm.
largest wealth transfer in history.
So how are they going to get it? They're
How are
going to
you
have to
going to
get
get it?
all, how you going to get it? Right? We
Man,
always teach generational wealth. We always say, "Oh, I'm building." So generational, but how are they going to get it? It's already going to be taxed, right? Death tax. It's already going to be taxed, and now you got to go through other tools and other red tape to get it. So by the time you get it, it's going to be like so much less.
100%. It's like Sean Combs, make this money, take this money, but don't let everybody take it from you, because there's just, if you open up the door, they're going to take it. And so
Yeah.
now here's another avenue where they have an ability to take your money that you've built over time, and it
Mhm,
doesn't have to be like that.
mhm. It
So,
doesn't. It really,
we definitely are given. Yeah. So no, I think this was great because, and 1 hour flew by. I don't know if you even
it
realized you
did.
did
I
it.
did. I'm watching the clock. It did.
But yeah, no, I just think it's, once again, if we can share knowledge, give people information, and a place and people that they can go to ask questions. I think it's just so important, and I really appreciate you coming on today, spreading the word about TODIs. I knew a little bit of it, obviously, but I didn't know as much as you broke down today. So great information. Can you give
Yeah,
your contact information and let people know where they can, come to your event?
absolutely. So February 27th, I will be at 5936 West Chicago Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., completing TODIs, right? You can also talk to me about real estate. Feel free to call or text me directly at 312-536-3593, and we could talk real estate, and we could talk securing your real estate.
Yeah, 5936 West Chicago Avenue. Okay.
Yes.
And speaking of real estate, I mean, since I got you, what is going on in real estate?
Did you
What's
see
going
my facial expression
what's going
change?
on in your world?
So real estate is good, real estate is up and down, right?
Mhm.
I deal with a lot of first time home buyers, right? Has
Okay.
always been my specialty, is first time home buyers. So we're out here. I always say that we're at the top of the market right now, right?
Mhm.
Um, so if you're interested in buying real estate, feel free to or selling real estate. I got some properties that's coming on the market soon. Feel free to but real estate is always good.
It's sometimes it's more sexy than other times.
Yeah, well, TV makes it look sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yes, it does.
It's definitely a grind. TV makes it look like, oh, I get clients all the time. If I could flip this house, if I just, that's not realistic. That's not the ROI. Hey, let's do the numbers first. You're the number guy. Like, no, this is not gonna. No,
Yeah.
stop watching TV. That's not real life.
It's mortgages and real estate. It's similar to like insurance. There's just there's so many things you could do with it. I mean, we're born into a game if you want to play the game. Some people are wanting to play the game to get out. Some people choose not to play the game. They just want the standard living, and it is what it is. So, so it's different concepts.
Yes.
And so that concept is, hey, I just want to buy a house. I'm going to pay it off and then, live my life.
That's right. And I tell people that all the time. Like, I have a 23-year-old. She just bought her first property and she's excited. She still lives with me.
That's awesome.
Right. But she's playing Monopoly
Mm-hmm.
in real life. I had a cousin that called me the other night. He said the same thing. He said, Dishenda, I'm looking to buy a 4-unit. I'm playing Monopoly in real life. And I think that's just smart. I just think it's so smart. We've been playing the board game for decades, but not knowing that you could really play this in life and really get those residuals.
No, it's my eyes really didn't open until about 5 years ago, and I turned 40, and it was almost like the Matrix, the movie The Matrix, the red pill and the blue pill, and it's like I took the red pill, and like everything made more sense. And I was, but I was sad though, to be honest, because I was like, man, I've put so much time and effort in the status quo, so I appreciate the younger generation to have that vigor and have that foresight to be like, you know what? I described it as the 40-20 rule, that we basically signed this invisible contract that said, hey, you're going to work for 40 years to get 20 years of freedom.
Yeah.
But you're going to work this. And so you kind of like, you just lament, okay, that's what we do. It is what it is. That's what it is. And I feel like a lot of the baby boomers, a lot of the Gen X, you and I are in the same generation, that, that's kind of the, just the plotting that we've done. And you have the younger generation saying, man, that stinks. 40 for 20 years. I mean, that's not even, man, can we flip that? Can I get this done in 20 years and then get 40 years of freedom? So, great innovation, great ideas, treated like Monopoly. Let me do the full gambit.
Yes. And my 20-year-old is not afraid to take risk, right? I didn't buy my first property until I was in my 40s, right? I was afraid. I was afraid to do it. I'm like, what if I lose? What if I lose? Okay, well, if I lose, I lose. But it's a opportunity there. And I won't know until I take it. I have to take the risk. And I think that's a problem. I have a lot of clients that way. They're so afraid. They're so afraid of making that investment and putting that money down. They're just afraid. And so just kind of getting them out of that fear. Like, you could do this. You got to live somewhere. So you might as well, instead of paying other people's college education, you could pay your own, right?
Of course. Get the multi-unit first, 3.5% down. Now you stay there for a year, understand the lay of the land, get comfortable being a landlord, have expertise about the building. Oh, what's that noise? Oh, that's just when when it rains hard, you'll just hear it, but it's nothing to it. You don't have to worry about it. Hey, you got to lift up the knob a little bit just to push in. That's how you have the knowledge that you can pass on to the next tenants, and you don't rush to like have to fix everything.
Exactly. And I always say put a home warranty on it in the beginning when you're a first-time home buyer.
There you go. That's a great idea for at least a year.
For at least a year to help you.
Yeah, no, awesome stuff. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
It was nice to
It's
see
a pleasure.
you.
You as well, finally.
Yes. Thank you, audience, for listening to us. Over 300 people listening. So really appreciate that. I hope it was good information. We did get one last question, but TODI, as we know, I guess we know it to be okay to use in Illinois and Indiana. We're not 100% sure on other states. So,
Yeah.
that might be a ChatGPT, Gemini question, or that might be, talk to, maybe real estate attorneys in a particular state to find out if TODIs are available to you. And then I will be back on Monday. We'll have Lutalo Ari with me. So I want everyone to have a great weekend. And Dishenda, have an epic day.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.